When Cha Eunwoo's name was mentioned by a military stage host in the middle of an internal entertainment event on one of the special memorial nights, many soldiers and invited guests did not expect that one of the famous K-pop stars, who is now undergoing military service, would be asked to perform spontaneously. Eunwoo, who has always been known for his near-perfect visuals and calm demeanor, stood tall in the lineup, clearly not expecting that he would be asked to take the stage. However, the call was repeated in an exuberant tone, leaving all eyes on him. Cheers echoed from the rest of the soldiers, mostly voicing support and curiosity. "Come on, Eunwoo, show me!" shouted several people from the corner of the row. Even some of the bosses sitting in the honorary chairs smiled broadly, as if they already knew that this moment would be the highlight of the evening. It didn't take long for Eunwoo to step onto the stage, dressed in a neat military uniform, a black beret, and boots that were clearly not dance shoes. Arriving on stage, the host tried to break the ice with a joke. "We all know Cha Eunwoo is multi-talented, but tonight we want to see another side of him." He said that when he was outside the concert stage, he was a little shy. "Isn't that right, Eunwoo?" The joke made Eunwoo smile stiffly, then slightly bowed respectfully. In a low but clear voice, he replied, "I didn't expect to be asked to perform tonight, but if this makes my friends here happy, I'll try." The music starts rolling. What added to the excitement was his choice of song. Not a fully choreographed boy group song he usually performed, but an upbeat dance song popular among soldiers, full of fast beats and energetic movements. As if there was a small surprise prepared by the committee, Eunwoo, who initially seemed hesitant, began to move his body to the rhythm. The movements are not perfect right away, but there is a natural dexterity that leaves everyone amazed. The cheers get louder each time he makes a bolder move, such as a light spin or a step forward in a confident pose that I in the very front row. Some soldiers even stood while clapping their hands to the beat. There were those who whistled, those who shouted his name, and those who laughed because they did not expect a figure as calm as Eunwoo could be so total on the military stage. Several mobile cameras belonging to the soldiers in charge of documenting the event were immediately focused on him. They know this tape will be one of the highlights that will continue to be talked about. In the middle of his performance, Eunwoo had improvised his concert stage-style movements in the entertainment world. He combines a bit of professional idol style with a humorous touch typical of the military atmosphere, including a salute between beats, which immediately provoked laughter and applause. The audience was captivated, not only because he was handsome, but also because of his courage to take off his rigid image for the sake of entertaining fellow barracks. As the music climaxes, Eunwoo performs a dramatic final move, a half squat with one hand pointing towards the audience, much like the concert's closing choreography. Cheers broke out. Some of the audience even stood up while giving a standing ovation. A few soldiers who usually rarely showed emotional expressions in the presence of many people that night laughed off, their faces full of passion. After the appearance, Eunwoo sighed with a smile. "I guess I'll just sit back and watch tonight," he said, making everyone laugh again. The host complimented her. "See, even in the military, visuals and talent still can't be hidden." Eunwoo just shook his head while covering his face for a while, looking embarrassed but satisfied. The next day, the video of the performance began to circulate in the internal circles of the military and then reached the outside through civilian invitees who had time to record. The 40-second clip shows Eunwoo in full military uniform. Within hours, social media was flooded with comments. The hashtag Eunwoo military dance is trending on Korean Twitter, followed by thousands of re-uploads on Instagram and TikTok. Many netizens were surprised to see the other side of Eunwoo. "I thought he could only pose handsome. Apparently he can also appear energetic," wrote one Twitter user. "If I was a soldier there, I would not be able to focus on training for a week," another user joked. In fact, some international fans started making memes of Eunwoo's expression in the middle of his performance, especially when he performed respectful gestures while dancing. Korean entertainment media also reported. One news portal wrote, Cha Eunwoo made a scene on the military stage with a spontaneous dance. Even in the uniform, his idol aura did not fade. Several entertainment journalists tried to contact ASTRO's management for comment, but since Eunwoo was still on duty, the agency only made a brief statement that they were proud to see him continue to bring happiness wherever he is. Interestingly, some of Eunwoo's colleagues later shared additional stories on an anonymous online forum that the soldiers used to use. One of them wrote, "Actually, Eunwoo initially refused subtly out of embarrassment, but the commander said, 'If you perform, we will all be more excited about tomorrow's rehearsal,' and he immediately agreed." There is also a story that before performing, Eunwoo had a short backstage rehearsal for 2 minutes to make sure he didn't make a mistake, although it was clear that most of his movements were improvisations. Over time, this moment became a kind of little legend in his unit. Every time there is an internal entertainment show, there is always someone shouting, "Eunwoo, perform again," although he just smiled and shook his head. In fact, some soldiers admitted that they began to be motivated to learn to dance after seeing the performance, just to joke or raise spirits in the barracks. From a fan's perspective, the moment is not only entertainment, but also proof that Eunwoo is still a humble figure and willing to entertain those around him. In the world of K-pop, not all idols can maintain a positive image when outside the professional stage, especially in an environment as tight as the military. But Eunwoo shows that he can carry that positive aura with him wherever he goes. Meanwhile, Korean entertainment analysts note that moments like these often strengthen the emotional connection between artists and the public. When people see Eunwoo perform on the big stage, they admire his professionalism. But when they see him perform spontaneously in the military, they see his human side, and that makes him even more beloved, said a television commentator on one of the talk shows. Now, almost all those present at that evening agreed that the brief performance was one of their best memories during the service. Not a few said that the laughter and cheers of the evening felt like removing some of the fatigue and pressure from the harsh military routine. Although Eunwoo himself has not commented directly to the public about this incident, fans are sure he will mention it when he completes his military service. They had even imagined how he would laugh shyly when asked about the military stage dance on the interview show later. The moment was not just spontaneous entertainment, it became a symbol that even in the midst of a disciplined environment, there is room for laughter, spontaneity, and togetherness. Cha Eunwoo managed to prove that he is not only a handsome face from the entertainment world, but also a colleague who knows how to lift the spirits of those around him. And for all those present that night, the story of Eunwoo dancing on the military stage will continue to be the subject of conversation, both in the barracks and outside, as proof that the warmth of an idol can shine even in the midst of a world full of rules. Once the music started flowing, the bass boom that filled the room seemed to force all the feet to knock on the floor to the rhythm. Cha Eunwoo stood firm for a few seconds, as if gauging the situation. His thin smile appeared, a little embarrassed, but there was a spark of courage in his eyes. The movement was originally simple, just wiggling shoulders following the beat, but cheers instantly broke out, breaking the cold night air. Hands began to rise, some soldiers clapped their hands, others whistled loudly like giving a support code. Eunwoo's body movements began to be more dynamic. He steps left and right, then turns the body in a semicircle. The foot of his boat stomped the wooden floor of the stage with a heavy sound, but the rhythm was maintained. Despite not wearing stage clothes or dance shoes, her movements have the aura of a professional idol who is used to captivating audiences. Suddenly, he raised his right hand while bending his wrist in the typical style of boy group choreography, then quickly ducked slightly, giving an energetic impression that made the rows of spectators shout louder. The sober spotlight of the stage lights, only from the small spotlights above, actually adds to the intimate and warm impression. There are no big LED screens or fancy lighting like concerts, but that's exactly what makes everyone feel like they're getting an exclusive moment. One by one, Eunwoo's movements seemed to sweep the view of the entire room. As he combined his crisscrossing footsteps with a small leap, some of the soldiers in the front row spontaneously imitated him from under the stage while laughing.